gives me great pleasure to be talking with you today about communitas, the way that this was established in the English parish church, and the way that it might be carried on Zoom. The way that tradition is connected but disrupted by the loss of the centrality of Christian theology in the UK, and how we might still continue the tradition of inclusion. Those are the subjects that I should be covering, but just to draw attention to the fact that the group of people gathered together in a church were from babes in arms to people of over 100, still are, and that they gathered together both as a choir to lead the singing and also as a congregation singing together. I'm drawing on a number of different disciplines, as you can see there. For those of you who don't know England, after the Reformation in the 16th century, we had parish churches of this kind, which was central. Some of them existed before that, but they're central to both village and city life. Most people would come, and that's the inside of them, an altar with windows and a place for the congregation. A choir would be designed to lead the singing, but also sing separate things. Here are older versions of it, often situated in galleries behind the congregation, and now often situated in the front, wearing robes of some kind. But the church choir brought together a variety of people. It was usually not auditioned, everybody could join. And the dilemma that we face still in some of our community choirs of bringing diversity together is well illustrated in this humorous story. Mr. Annet's patient snapped suddenly. He rattled his baton on the reading desk and flashed his eyes. Please, please, I'm afraid we must begin without Mrs. Pickett. Ready, Miss Reed. 1, 2, we were off. Behind me the voices rose and fell. Mrs. Pringle's concentrated lowing vying with Mrs. Willett's nasal soprano. Mrs. Willett clings to her notes so cloyingly that she is usually half a bar behind the rest. Her voice has that penetrating and lugubrious quality found in female singers' renderings of Abide With Me outside public houses on Saturday nights. She has a tendency to overemphasize the final consonants and draw out the vowels to such excruciating lengths, and all this executed with such devilish shrillness that every nerve is set a-jangling. This evening, Mrs. Willett's time lag was even worse than usual. Mr. Annet called a halt. This, he pleaded, is a cheerfully lively piece of music. The valleys, we're told, laugh and sing, lightly. Please let it trip, let it be merry. Miss Reed, could you play it again? So that notion of how you keep the Mrs. Willets and together is part of the community choir, the accepting of it. All of these traditions were designed for well-being and the relationship with the body and our mind through the use of the body and singing, not so much the environment, but the society in creating a group of people who were in relationship with one another. And in the church, a sense of the cosmos, using a theological frame, but moving much more to communitas as we get to the community choir and the last Zoom choir that I'm going to talk about. And here we have from the Reformation, William Byrd, since singing is so good a thing, I wish all men could learn to sing. The exercise of singing is delightful to nature, good to preserve the health of man. It doth strengthen all the parts of the breath and open the pipes. And such senses of well-being come into the community choir as the sort of widely held theology of Christianity declined in the UK and was replaced, the singing, by the community choirs, catering for various sorts of people and various needs. So singing became the unwritten theology of those who lack and reject any formal creed, and many people that would be true of in the community music world. And we see the qualities of community music leader, which were very similar to a church music leader, which includes skills beyond musical skills, sensitivity, creativity, flexibility, and humility, which Sarah Morgan, one of our significant community choir leaders, actually set up in a wonderful description in conductor, muse, organizer, and catalyst. I haven't time to look at those roles in detail. In the church, we had in a sense, the two aesthetics of singing, which Phil mentioned in relation to the music centres. The classical perspective with perfection and virtuosity being the taproot of it, and the second aesthetic rising very quickly in contexts like this, which stresses community building, diversity, group collaboration, relationship, very much the aesthetic of the congregational singing in the church. Sarah Morgan describes how she tries to bring the two together, because one is often associated with the literate, the ability to read the music, often the other one often with the orate tradition. But the division between them happened in the church, not very happily, really, in some places. We had the development of the great cathedral and college choirs, and King's College, Cambridge, with its great Christmas Eve carols, but which actually started to disempower people. So we have this wonderful statement, not mine, but Monk, the King's College, Cambridge choral tradition has done for church music what Barbie has done for women. And I would say it's done it for lots of people in our culture. It's demusicalized them because they felt they weren't as good as that. So the dilemma of accuracy and or uplift is one that still faces us. So how can we have both of those together in some way, or do we have to concentrate on one or the other? In that area of cosmic well-being, if we do get the context right that we're working in, or the material right, that the materials are good, the feeling is good, the way the pieces are put together, and the value systems, then we will transport people into a cosmic dimension, which here I've called spirituality, but I think some people call liminality, and some people in that, as Turner indicated, communitas, the bringing together of diverse people. Another reality, a different way of knowing from shopping in the supermarket. And we see lots of the characteristics here, that it's a different way of knowing, that we encounter people who are different, that diversity exists easily, as we saw in that first vignette of the parish choir, all those different sorts of voices, different people managing to coexist in some way on the edge of reality. So in order to get that in a multicultural and society, and one in which people's belief systems weren't as shared as much as they had been, I created a Space for Peace event, which was designed to have people from many faiths and none and no faith, and schools and church choirs and all of that together, in which in the middle section they chose when they would sing to put together the structure, although at the beginning they sang together, and at a certain point they came to a procession with candles in which they all sang peace in whatever language in Winchester Cathedral, and you see the various people involved, and so on. An extraordinary evening which we carried on for some 10 years, collegial pursuit of diversity with a variety of people. In the COVID awareness, how can we do this, and how can people congregate and hear one another, making up that sort of soundscape? And with the help of my friends Neil Valentine and Vicky Feldwick, Vicky who helped me set up Space for Peace in the cathedral, we've had this Zoom choir working using some of the material from Space for Peace. The Zoom platform won't give people a shared pulse, so we build it over a drone, which Neil elaborates on his viola, and we use some of those chants, but give the people a chance to improvise. And it works like this, sitting quietly, turning onto a single note on which people sing shalom, but sh, ah, or separated out. Then the mixed chants with chants choice operating, descending into a single hum and sitting in silence. Comments from people having to abandon every way before, but then finding it's okay, becoming more confident in making their own choices, and so on. And in it, we have people who are skilled, people who are less skilled, people who are confident, and sometimes people bring instruments in as well. Here we have a comment from a Muslim participant. Virtual spaces are allowing new ways of listening, not diminished ways, and using his own frame at the bottom. Allah reminds us in the Quran that Allah created us into tribes and nations that we may know one another, know our common origin. So it provides a security in which people can share their diverse traditions. a mystery, a mixture of certitudes and uncertainties, but being comfortable with the uncertainty of improvisation in the context of the network that I've set up, music, spirituality, and well-being, to promote well-being and across the globe in this case, the mystery of it all. Thank you for your attention. And I hope that I've shown you something of communitas